Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. This weekend, the Arena Direct has returned, the special event where for 5,000 gems you can attempt to win a physical booster box playing digital Magic. We're going to be playing games of Modern Horizons 3 Sealed, hoping to get 6 wins before 2 losses. If we can accomplish that, that is where we get that grand prize. So without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to play with today. Alright, so a couple pretty solid rares here. The Guide of Souls is the best of them. This is a card that does a lot of work as a standalone spell. Just if you have 3 other creatures enter the battlefield after it, then you get to put 2 +1/+1 counters and flying onto one of your attacking creatures, which is a really nice ability even by itself, and it's obviously even more powerful in an energy deck where you can have other ways to get to that 3 energy. So that is our best rare for sure. But both Devourer of Destiny and Sowing Mycospawn are solid little 2-for-1 cards if you've got a good amount of colorless mana in your deck. The Devourer of Destiny obviously needs the most colorless mana, needing double colorless, but it's got a very nice cast trigger, exiling a colored permanence when you cast it, and dropping a 6/6 onto your board. Plus, it's some little added value. If it happens to be in your opening hand, then you can set up your first draw of the game. And the Sowing Mycospawn here is, I guess it's always technically a 2-for-1. For 4 mana, you get a 3/3 and you get to ramp up. But you do get a really nice kind of 2 or even 3-for-1 if you pay the colorless towards it. You get to exile one of your opponent's lands and get a land of your own and get a 3/3. So if your opponent's having any mana issues, then this can just completely shut them off. Sometimes they aren't really, like they're already flooding out and the exile doesn't really do anything, but this is always at least a 4 mana 3/3 that ramps you up, so it's certainly worth putting into your deck for those odd occasions where it completely blows your opponent out when they only have 1 land of a certain color. So these 3 rares are really nice and we'd like to be in those directions if possible. But there's a lot of real powerful cards at every rarity in this format, so we certainly need to take a peek at all of our commons and uncommons as well. And one that I'm really happy to see here as we look at our colorless and multicolored cards, certainly Solar Transformer. I think that's going to go into our deck regardless of colors. I would put this in basically any sealed deck in the entire format. So really happy to see that for fixing and ramp. There's another colorless support card here with Glaring Fleshraker if we go pretty deep into Eldrazi. That can do a lot of work for us, and we have the blue and the green cycling Eldrazi at common for a little bit more Eldrazi spawn production towards our colorless rares. Got 5 landscapes in the sealed pool, which is pretty good. Looks like there's a lot of overlap in red in particular. Every single landscape is in red here. 4 of them are red-black, all 4 of these. So some stuff to keep in mind, but since every landscape is 3 different colors of fixing, there's probably at least 1 landscape that fits into basically any 2-color deck. But yeah, interesting that there's 4 for red-black. Like, what, 2 for red-green? Alright, we'll keep track of that later when we start seeing what color pairs we actually want to play. If you have like 10 landscapes in 1 2-color pair, that's not really a reason to be that 2-color pair. It's just nice to have if you head in that direction, so it doesn't matter too much. It's just interesting to see. We've got a couple fine blue-green cards. We have the incredible Bomb Rare level common, Writhing Chrysalis, towards green-red Eldrazi. If we want to try doing our Eldrazi rares like Devourer of Destiny and the Sower thing, then Chrysalis would be great in that deck as well. Wombat's fine. Blood-Soaked Insight is fine. None of the other multicolored cards are particularly standouts that really push us in their direction. It's really just Chrysalis for the deck that would be playing the Devourer of Destiny and stuff if we try to do that. So let's check out each color at common and uncommon and see what we have the best support for here. So I'm really liking the support that we have for this Guide of Souls. There's a lot of cards that work really well with it. So first off, the most obvious synergy is 2 copies of Hexgold Slith. Any 2-mana creatures that produce 2 energy when they hit the board immediately give you the 3 on turn 2 for the Guide of Souls to just send in as a 3-power flyer on turn 2, which is ridiculous. Turn 1 Guide of Souls, turn 2 Hexgold Slith, pretty hard to beat in Limited, so really happy to see that. But we also have the Jolted Awake for a way to recur our Guide of Souls if it manages to die, while this is also just a fine filler card when we've hit just our non-bombs. And there's even some other cards like Glyph Elemental, while it is just an uncommon, would sort of classify this as a bomb level card as well. It like needs to get killed pretty early, so being able to Jolted Awake that back is also quite nice. So big fan of the white here. I think it has good synergy. It doesn't have great removal. I could play Expel the Unworthy in a pinch, but it looks like a great aggressive curve and a couple really good synergies for our strongest rare in the entire sealed pool, so I'm pretty high on the white here. For our blue, we've got some more synergy for that Guide of Souls. Double Tune the Narrative works with it, giving us 2 energy towards the 3 that we need. Royal Cartographer works with it, loading up some energy to draw cards later. This Emrakkul's Messenger synergizes with our Tune the Narratives. If we cast these during our turn instead of our opponent's, then we'll be able to get some Eldrazi spawn out of the Messenger, which is nice. Electrozoa works fantastic with Guide of Souls. That's 3 energy right off of that. The one issue with this is we're going to have to keep paying energy to keep this thing around. I don't think either of these cards are very good. I probably cut those. Reform you need synergies for. But everything else is playable. Serum Visionary, great value. Unfathomable the Truth's really solid draw. Copy Crook's just kind of fun. Not incredible, but certainly not terrible. Yeah, blue looks really solid here. Not quite as good as our white, but it has built-in synergies by itself and some pretty good synergy for the white, giving us a couple more energy cards. So decently into our blue. For our black, it looks like some incredible removal, so that is certainly an option off of these 4 cards alone. Lots of interaction here for whatever our opponent's trying to do. Our creature base here is pretty mediocre. Honestly, our best creature isn't even really a creature, it's a Cursed Marauder, which is kind of just like more removal. And we don't actually have good synergies for that. We've got the Reform if we play blue-black specifically, but we don't have any of the black creatures that can recur themselves from the graveyard, so that's not great. If we do go blue-black in particular, then we do have the Reform synergy for a Cursed Marauder, as well as the Victimize synergy for the Reform. And the Victimize also synergizes with our blue Cyclers, 2 copies of Drownyard Lurker here. So there's a lot of synergy towards like blue-black draw 3 as well as Reanimate, because again, blue-black also gives us synergies towards Mindless Conscription to get that zombie army more often. And if we're constantly replacing the zombie army by amassing 3 over and over, then that's just another thing we can sack towards Victimize. So black is a very solid color, and it pairs the best with our blue, which was still pretty good as well. I don't think our blue is as exciting as our whites, honestly, or our black, but I think those 2 colors paired together looks pretty nice, and it also gives us access to the Signpost Uncommon, the Horrid Shadow Spinner here. So I like having that in the back pocket as another deck to think of. For red, we have Amped Raptor, an incredible energy card, but that is the only energy card in the color, unfortunately. So it doesn't look like an incredible color to pair with the white, which is what I was kind of hoping for if we were super lucky here. Not going to be the case. Red still looks very good, because Amped Raptor is an incredible 2-for-1. Realm the Implicit Maze is an incredible 2-for-1. We've got decent removal, we've got decent late-game card draw. And then these are fine filler cards. None of these is completely unplayable, so another very reasonable color. Nothing super exciting going for it. I still think white is our best. But honestly, blue, black, and red all have their own merits here. We've got a very solid sealed pool with a lot of different ways we can go. And for our green, I don't like the mana curve, but if we pair it with a color that has a good mana curve, then this could be great. Because we've got really good top end in this color. You know, we'd probably play this over a land. And we've got a little bit of ramp with a single Myco spawn, but we don't have any of the 2-mana mana dorks. We do have a 2-mana mana rock that helps a lot. Actually, for this deck, having the Solar Transformer here is going to be ideal. We do get the green Cycler out of our colorless. So feel like the biggest reason to play green would be towards like a green-red Eldrazi build. Because one of our better green cards, the Micah Spawn, does want some colorless mana to become even better. And obviously the Eldrazi rares that we have need colorless, and the best thing we get out of green at all would be going green-red and getting the Chrysalis as well. We could splash around. We've got multiple landscapes here. So green, red, black, green, red, blue. Red, black. So it looks like Jund would be the most well-represented way to splash. We'd have blue, red, and green, blue, red. So there'd be two that touch blue if we go green, blue, red as well. Trying to get the ramp card out of green, blue into the deck, the Void Craw, if we go green, blue, red. I don't know if I love that. Let's see about Jund combinations. What would we want at the core of the deck, really? Like, what two colors would we want at the core? I think we want black at the core instead of a splash because of Breathe Your Last and Consuming Corruption. I mean, we might have to cut Consuming Corruption if we splash in a third color, even if black is one of our main two, because we need a lot of swamps. I mean, we only really need like 3 swamps for this to be pretty good. But in a 3-color deck, even if it's just splashing a third, that can be a little hard. Let's see. If I just separate my least favorite cards here, is it Siege Smash? Void Pouncer's kind of filler. Dream Drinkers are kind of filler. Kami's kind of filler. Gatekeeper a little so. This is often just a hard to cast 3-mana 3/4. I mean, it is pretty good when it pops off. And we'll play a lot more landscapes than it looks like we have right now. So we'll have more colorless sources. I'll keep it in for now still. Eight cuts. So cutting the most mediocre cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 black cards and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red. I guess this isn't counting the multicolored. We'd play a Chrysalis in here for sure. Definitely wouldn't play Cranial Ram even if we're black-red at the core. This is not an artifact-heavy build. Or it's not going to be. I mean, we'll play the Solar Transformer. It's true, I forgot about our flip lands. We've got a red-black duel as well with Blood-Soaked Insight towards playing all 3 of these colors. This is going to be a lot of non-basics. I feel like Consuming Corruption is kind of a forced cut. Seven cuts. 2, 3, 4. And I guess we have enough room because I can cut 7 cards here. We could be green-black and just splash in like a Chrysalis and a Raptor, I guess. Although if Raptor is the only energy card in our deck, it's considerably worse. Especially for this deck that has a lot of high mana value cards. So Amped Raptor is like really busted when you get to cast another spell with it, or if you just care about energy in general. If you don't care about energy, then you really need it to be able to cast another spell, and that's not happening in this deck, because most of the time we're hitting something that costs more than 2. So we would probably just splash Chrysalis if we want to play an Eldrazi build. And that should be an easy enough splash. I mean, Realm the Implicit Maze is very strong, but it's also double red. So it's a more difficult splash that puts much more of a tax on the mana base. Wombat has some combos in here. We have Brood Scale, Witness, Chrysalis combos with the Wombat, believe it or not. Oozewag, Hydra. Yeah, Wombat's definitely chillin'. We've got 2 flip lands, so you probably only need to cut like 1 more spell. Victimize looks fine. We've got the Tusker combo for it, as well as just other Eldrazi spawn. Maybe Dreadmask? I mean, we've got a lot of top end here. I could cut Nyxborn Hydra. Not that it's the worst card in our deck. Like, it's certainly not, but I feel like we cut, like, one of our top end spells, and I really don't like how the Nyxborn Hydra interacts with Annoyed Altasaur. I think literally every other spell on our deck, if we cascade into it, it's fine, but if we cascade into a Nyxborn Hydra ever, that's a massive bummer. I mean, that might be, you know, an unnecessary cut, but it makes things simple. It gives us an option for what to just get out of here. And then, I mean, we could always cut the Fleshraker and go a little less Eldrazi focused, but I think we're going to have enough landscapes in here. Because Arena only automatically put in the one that's all 3 of our colors, but we'll play all of them that are 2 of the colors as well. So here's green-red, here's black-red, here's black-red. Yeah, we're playing every landscape in the sealed pool. We have 5 colorless sources. That can also crack for whichever color we need. So that does actually seem pretty ideal. And we cut 1 land for these 2 flip lands. So, let's see. I'm not going to play Barbarian Ring. I need to play a mountain over Barbarian Ring so we can actually grab a mountain off these landscapes. And I really don't want to play 2 red sources. So, RIP Barbarian Ring. It's like green and black are pretty much just as prevalent. Although black has some double black spells a little earlier in the game, as well as just like removal a little earlier. But black is the lower represented color. There's 2 less black cards, but the black cards are slightly more important early and require a little more black mana, so I feel like that justifies pretty much 50-50, even though there's technically more green spells. So let's see. 7, 8, 9... versus 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so cut down. This is 7. This is 8. Wow, we are going to have to lean one direction or the other, aren't we? Oh, wait, no, this landscape's also black. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 5, 6, 7. So if I do that, then it's 8, 8. And that is a 50-50 split. Alright, this looks pretty good to me. This looks like a very, very solid place for our deck to be. There's 2 other main decks I think that we could potentially do a lot of work with. So this one's going to be like a little dirtily, like in the early game for sure. Some of these cards are pretty hard to cast in a 3-color deck, and we don't have a super high count of like cheap creatures in the first place, so we could get overrun by really aggressive decks, but that's where Wither and Bloom, Fang Flames, Breathe Your Last, these can help us quite a bit. Actually, Mindless Conscription. Do we not have any ways to draw 3? We actually don't have any ways in this deck to trigger the Mindless Conscription to make it more than just a 3-mana 3-3. So actually, might put the Hydra back in over that, even though we could fail a Cascade into it. Just double check there's nothing else that I'd run over that. Maybe a Dream Drinker, because we were just talking about how most of our cheap spells are pretty hard to cast. And we could get overrun, and that's the biggest weakness of the deck. Sure, I'll just play a little Lifelinker to trade off in the early game. Yeah, it looks fine. Looks fine. Alright, now I think we have what we would do for the kind of Jund Eldrazi route, which is certainly a solid place to be. I think The biggest upside to this deck is it's going to be our most removal heavy deck. Wither and Bloom, Fanged Flames, Double Breather Last. It's got some great interaction there, while still having a lot of power to it. Obviously, the Chrysalis and our colorless rares, Devourer of Destiny. Annoyed Altasaur is a big 2-for-1 finisher as well, so while that's only uncommon, it's still a high power card. And Micah Spawn's pretty good. Thief, not so much. It's pretty mediocre. But there is some high power in this deck. Biggest flaw, some of the early plays are hard to cast, like these needing colorless mana this early in the game. And when you pair the fact that these 3 spells, the Wombat, the Fleshraker, and the Thief, are pretty difficult to cast, and they're 3 of our 3 mana or less creatures, when you put those 2 things together, we're not going to be playing too many blockers in the early game, and we could get overrun in a really aggressive matchup. So that's probably the biggest sketchy thing about the deck, but really makes up for it when we get to the top end and with just interaction in general. So it's certainly a solid deck. It's got a lot going for it. But there are 2 other potential strategies here that look very strong as well, and I want to get a good glimpse at them. So blue-black is going to be our most synergistic. We have the Signpost Uncommon. We have some Accursed Marauder, Reefworm, Victimize, Sacrifice shenanigans. And we have Draw 3 shenanigans with the Mindless Conscription. This is 45 cards. And cut 5 cards out of this deck. Splash in if we want. If there's enough stuff that I want to cut that I'd rather splash things in. Got Drowned Yardlurker, Victimize combo in this one. If we don't splash in, we get to keep consuming Corruption, which is great. Is this 17 lands? This is 17 lands. I definitely want to cut 1. Actually, I think I have to cut Devourer of Destiny, probably. I don't know if we have enough landscapes towards just a blue-black deck casting that, even with some Eldrazi spawn. I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways to maybe get colorless mana out of non-lands. We could run all these landscapes over basic islands and swamps, just towards casting that. That's probably worth it. I've done it before. I will do it again. "22 lands. I don't know what makes it stop auto doing lands. It's weird sometimes. 15, 16, 17. Okay, so yeah, I still need to cut 1 card. Maybe one of the Dream Drinkers. It's fine. Yeah, I'm down with that. Cut 1 Dream Drinker. So, what's going for this deck? Synergy, really. Synergy is the most part. It looks a lot more consistent than the Jund deck as well. Mana-wise, this is all going to be really easily castable. And it's a lot of landscapes, so while it will be consistent, it might be a little slow, right? Because there's going to be times that I'm hitting these strictly colorless landscapes in this deck, like these 4, where basically I'm running these over swamps and I'm running this over an island, to where there'll be times that I draw these and I have to just crack it, which means it's basically just to come into play tapped island, which certainly makes the mana base worse, like no turn 1 tune the narrative because I have to just crack a random landscape. Stuff like that can certainly happen, but I think it's worth that for the Devourer. Outside of that, which is an issue that the Jund deck has as well, This deck looks really consistent. It's a more consistent curve. It's more filled out, especially with cards like Lurker fitting into 2 different places on the curve. It's got just as much removal pretty much by having access to the black. It's still got a little bit of that ramp. It's got some incredible synergy. It's the most synergistic deck we're going to have. There's a lot of different ways that this deck overlaps synergistically. So if we have an Emrakul's Messenger on board, we can cycle a Lurker. That way we trigger the Messenger and get double Eldrazi spawn. So that's pretty cute to trigger the draw 2 for that. Also, if we get to cycle a Drownyard Lurker the same turn that a Scurrilous Sentry attacks, or the same turn that we cast Attune the Narrative, or the same turn that we play a Serum Visionary, that'll trigger our draw 3 Mindless Conscription. We have the straight up draw 3 for the Mindless Conscription. The Mindless Conscription gives us an expendable creature for the Victimize. The Lurkers give us an expendable creature for the Victimize. There's a lot of different synergies here that I can't even point them all out. Shadow Spinner discards a big creature to Victimize later. Reefworm's a good creature to sack to Victimize or Marauder. It's very cute. It's very cute. Lots of synergies, consistent mana curve. Keeps its bases covered with removal. Biggest downside is that it's not going to have quite as much sheer card quality in terms of the best cards in the deck being super powerful as the Jund Eldrazi deck or the white-based energy deck is going to be, because those just have a couple cards that are so individually powerful, you're just going to win game by casting one card, really. You know, if we get a Chrysalis down with any of our other spawn production, the Jund deck is just going to win. If we get a Guide of Souls down turn 1, any white deck we make is just going to win. So, I do like this consistency, but again, the raw card quality is a little lower. I still think I do prefer this over the Jund build. That might be incorrect. Maybe I'm just too big of a fan of blue-black as a color pair, but I'm going to save this deck. I'm going to say that this is better than the Jund deck in my mind, but we are still going to go ahead and build ourselves a white-based energy deck as well. So we're on 11 black cards, 9 blue. Let's finish off our mana base here. We're on 7 blue sources, 10 black sources, actually 11, 7 to 11 here. We want to be more like 8 to 10. And that looks good to me, but we definitely want to lean pretty heavily on black because of Consuming Corruption here. All right. Yeah, and more double black than double blue in general. Yeah, looks very solid. We will save that deck. And let's see if I can come up with any just aggressive white-based energy deck that looks better than our blue-black build. Alright, so first and foremost, let's stick the colorless that goes into the deck no matter what. And that's just Solar Transformer. What are our multicolored options for white? Obstinate Gargoyle and Not Master towards black-white are okay. Certainly not exciting, but those are the only multicolored white options. So we'll keep it in mind that the only color that gets us more playables, if we want to play a 2-color deck, which I think we do with Guide of Souls, try to be as aggressive as possible. The only color that gives us more playables than it looks like is black. We get some additional multicolored spells by playing white-black. So this is every white card and Solar Transformer. I would have to run every single blue card, including Harbinger of the Seas, Reefworm with no ways to sack it. It's sketchy. Towards black, I'd have to play every single black card, but I don't think we had a single black card that's actively bad. Victimize and Mindless Conscription are a little wonk in this deck, but not as actively bad as the Harbinger, the Reefworm. Oops. Red gives us that Amped Raptor, which is incredible towards Boros Energy, but no other energy cards, sadly. And we're light on 2 playables. I was just saying black gives us the multicolored spells, so we do get to play the Obstinate Gargoyle and the Not Master over the Victimize Mindless Conscription. It feels like what we do, right? Actually drop the Expel with all the black removal. I guess Victimize Gargoyle is cute. We're never going to have anything big to bring back with Victimize. We really only have the Gargoyle for super expendable token production towards it. And it's not even like token production, but you know what I mean, getting something, some sack fodder onto the board. Yeah, I think I cut Victimize. Expel because we have the black removal. I'll play Blood-Soaked Insight over a 17th land, though, since our curve's really low in this deck. We actually do have quite a bit of synergy in this deck. I don't know if it's as much as blue-black, but the raw power level is higher, and we can try to surprise people with a pretty aggressive mana curve. But we have a lot of modified creatures towards the Knot Masters. And a lot of ways to modify creatures. Almost everything in the deck, honestly. Glyph Elemental, Hex Goldslith, Nyxborn Unicorn, Dream Drinkers, Obstinate Gargoyle, Proud Pack Rhino, Knotmaster Sentry, Mandibular Kite, Mindless Conscription. These are all modified creatures, or they can make something modified. So the Knotmaster can get those +1/+1 counters a lot. But there's only one card that actually cares that everything is modified, and that is the Knotmaster, so probably over speaking the synergy there. But just having an aggressive curve of creatures, great with Guide of Souls, and we have just mono-white energy synergies that are quite powerful for Guide of Souls. The Solar Transformer being in here to go with it is also great. I don't hate this deck at all. Even when we don't draw Guide of Souls, we could just draw curve outs, you know? If we just hit like Slith, Rhino, Knotmaster, that's crazy. But I guess there's only 2 4-drops. The 3-drops don't. I mean, these two just don't really curve out that well and apply that much pressure. Nor does the Conscription, really. I don't know. I'm probably giving a lot of weight to the Guide of Souls towards this being better than blue-black in my book. That'll be the only thing that really gets it there. Otherwise, it's really kind of just trying to get the element of surprise by being a low curve deck. A lot of the creatures on curve are not that scary, that impressive, like the unicorns, the vampires. The Kami really is a little out of place, a 1/3 body. Even the gargoyle. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this deck does have a higher upside on the occasions where we do draw Guide of Souls and curve from there. We can just wombo combo win, but there's going to be plenty of games where we just don't draw Guide of Souls, and I think in almost every single one of those games, blue-black is just going to be a much stronger deck. Just going to be so much more synergistic than just going Unicorn into Kami into Knotmaster or Sentry. I mean, there are other dream curves, you know, Glyph Elemental into Proud Pack Rhino into Knotmaster, but there's only one of our 3-drops that fits into any of our dream curves. If our 3-drop is a 3/3 with no abilities, or a 1/3 or a 2/2, not a particularly scary curve. And that's 3/4 of our 3-drops for trying to curve out being the aggressor. Yeah, I'm gonna just exit the deck list here, discard the changes, and I'm gonna roll with some blue-black nonsense. Alright, here we are for game 1. We are on the draw. Our opponent is starting with their own landscape. Ooh. Start with an island now. I can tune the narrative just immediately, cycle this out of here. I was going to start with cracking a landscape towards blue, but if I don't have to do that yet, I'll keep 2 colorless sources in the hand for if we draw into the colorless bomb. We are against red-green. There's the Basking Brood Scale. Find another blue source. Yeah, so we are golden on our main colors. There's a Drownyard Lurker as well. Go ahead and drop this Marauder here. Stay mana efficient on curve, kill that before they get the spawn out of it. If we play Marauder any later, it's still always going to kill their smallest creature, so it'll still end up just trading into the Brood Scale regardless. Play some more black sources first in case we draw the swamp-based removal spell. Could win Cartographer Landscape there, which is cute, but I'm going to go for the 3-drop. I can still hold off to these landscapes till after a Cartographer. Copy Crook? I guess just Island Copy Crook on Visionary is not bad. Kami I don't love. If the game goes long enough, it's a good mana sink, but I want to really hit some removal ideally here. I don't know, I guess we're hitting like a big roadblock. Trying 7/7 plus a 0/1. And the Kami itself's a little bit of a roadblock. It's going to Death Touch trade and anything coming our way. Cartographer's looking a little awkward. I don't think I play the 2-drop Cartographer over a Copy Crook here. Although Copy Crook could end up being significantly bigger than a 2/2, but get to draw another card, scry another 2, and just get really far ahead in value. I guess since we're under no pressure, we could just get egregiously ahead in value and try to get a Cartographer draw 3 going. Sure. I mean, either way, we're setting up card draw, pretty much. Alright, so this will be energy 3 out of 6. If I play a Landscape Kraken this turn, play a Landscape Kraken next turn, that is the 6 energy, so I am going to do that, which will be awkward if we ever draw the double colorless card this game. Luckily, we have a couple different ways in this deck to do things like Connive, to draw a card and then discard a card, so we can filter out the double colorless spell, turn it into something else here. Okay, I don't need to crack the landscape immediately, and I am fine with the Kami draw. So I'm going to draw into the Kami and then crack the landscape and then cast the Kami. Which maybe is wrong, maybe I should have been playing Copy Crook here. I could Copy Crook Cartographer, which is funny. I'm going too late now. Yeah, I would have had to crack this landscape during the opponent's turn to get the blue to do the Copy Crook thing. If I wanted double Cartographer. But just one lock in the draw 3 feels pretty good. This is 0 mana, right? Yeah, black and 4 less. Yeah, so we cast this, we draw 3, we drain. Hit a Victimize. Curse Marauder's a fun option to bring back from the grave later. Alright, our opponent is just digging for their Eldrazi here. Didn't look like they found any. They grab a land. They have been stuck on 3 lands for a little bit. Fanged Flames exile the Kami. You got it. Absolutely got it. There's the double colorless card. I can Lurker for 1 colorless source, and then I have a Lurker engraved for a later Victimize. The issue with that is I'm getting rid of my 7-drop when I'll have the mana to cast it next turn anyway. It's a little awkward, but then I can Lurker plus tune the narrative for draw 3. I guess they killed my only draw 3 card right now. I don't know, this could be wrong, but like worst case scenario I can Victimize the Lurker out if I don't manage to find another colorless. Okay. Don't find another colorless yet. But I do have a tune the narrative for another draw. Play a Dream Drinker and still tune it up. Breaker of Creation. Alright, so probably make our own copy of that. And then we just trade Visionary and Vampire on blocks. Might have to sacrifice our spawn to Annihilator. Reef Worm, well there you go. It's an incredible card for our Victimize or the Annihilator triggers, or both. Don't love cracking the colorless here, but I think Reef Worm looks really good on this board. So we're just really giving up on Devourer. So they need a combat trick for that Breaker of Creation. Or we've got the double block. We're 2 landfalls away from another draw 3 on Royal Cartographer. So I don't think I am sacking that to Annihilator or chumping with it. I think we're on Visionary and Vampire on the Breaker of Creation, sacrifice a Reef Worm and a land to the Annihilator trigger. If they've got the combat trick, that's going to be pretty good for them. I could always just throw my Breaker under theirs, but then if they have a combat trick that gives Indestructible or First Strike, then we're in a really bad spot, and there is one in green that gives Indestructible and one in red that gives First Strike. It'd be weird to see the red one, because the red one is a Boros land. But you never know. Okay, they just have the Fanged Flames anyway. Fair enough. That's what I would usually say, but I hate Devoid on spells. That's not fair. That's stupid. Colorless spell that you pay colored mana for. Dumb. Well, they can probably only combat trick one of these, so at least I get to eat the 3/3 and then have a 6/6 blocker to trade into Breaker next turn. If they have double combat trick, that's nasty. But Reef Worm has done its job. Alright, they kind of did have double combat trick with Signature Slam, but we still killed the 3/3 here. They just wanted to get rid of Cartographer, make sure we don't draw any more cards. Fair enough. 2 cards left in hand, both are spells for sure, because they've missed land drops earlier. None of them are spells they want to do now. Okay, Messenger would have been incredible earlier. This would have triggered like every single turn in this game. Well, a Cursed Marauder from Grave looks absolutely fantastic. Honestly. This dies, we get a 9/9. I don't know if I want it to die yet. I might sack Messenger. I could get a Cursed Marauder Royal Cartographer, play a land at 5 out of 6 energy. But it almost feels better to go for immediate impact, like just a 7/7. Because then I have a 7/7 and a 6/6 that's going to turn into a 9/9 here. I'm gonna go for immediate damage. Like, because I also kind of just don't want to end up running out of steam. I could see a world where I reanimate the cartographer, play a land, they don't kill it. Next turn I play a land, draw the 3, and it's just like some lands or something. They like bounce the whale. And I'm like, okay, now I have like 10 cards left at that point. A little sketched out that we mill out in the long game. It's a good draw. Gets our attacks through. The fish could already send in the whale, because if they kill it, it becomes a 9/9, but being able to send in without trades feels better. Malevolent Rumble finds Wardscape Battle Mage, which is disgustingly perfect here. Being able to bounce the Reform token is the best way to get around it. So that's pretty disappointing. It's a good draw. They are an Eldrazi deck, so there's just going to be endless swarms of these Eldrazi spawn to break through. I mean, as soon as we get through all the chumps, they're dead in one hit, but there are more chumps to break through. Oh, they're just done already. They did have another turn to top deck something, but they're over it. We start things off 1-0. Biggest underperformer definitely goes to our double colorless rare, but the deck as a whole played really, really well, really synergistically there. Big fan of that one. Again, we have the ways to connive to end up discarding this if the mana really doesn't work out. And these landscapes also put in some work alongside the Royal Cartographer, so I think I'm going to hold strong to it. The landscapes are hitting good Cartographer plays too, as we saw that game, even when we do crack them all and don't have them ready for our double colorless rare, so keep at it. Another solid energy game here towards Cartographer. That is going to need to get killed. Green, black. Ah. Emrakul's Messenger as the draw post tune is sad. Still have to play Cartographer first before you play any more lands. We could hit harder by playing Messenger first, but Cartographer loses value without the lands. I want to be able to go Swamp Breathe Your Last as an option. So we miss out on 1 point of damage to be able to go Swamp Breathe Your Last here. If I played Messenger, I could play Cartographer land next turn, but then I don't have that Breathe Your Last option here. Okay, I don't need to Breathe Your Last an insect token, so we could Landscape, double energy. This is energy 3 and 4. And still play Messenger? Sure. Hit for 1 instead of 2. Again, maybe it'll come back to bite us. Maybe we'll get our opponent to 1 or something, but I think the trade-off of hitting for 1 instead of 2 is probably not terrible for being able to be okay with a Breathe Your Last coming up. Okay, that's sad. Pretty sure we hit Messenger, because if we top deck a landscape, we draw 3 next turn. Refurbish Familiar, and Wither and Bloom into the grave. This Hunger Tide Rises is going to grab whatever they need, put it right onto the battlefield too. Terrifying. I'll just kill whatever they get. Okay, I'm going to cast a 4-drop next turn, so I need all my lands untapped. And I might need them all untapped the turn after that, so I'm going to crack this landscape right now. So turn 5 I could go like 3-drop and 2-drop if I need to.
Because we know we can't crack the landscape next turn, because I'm casting Scurrilous Sentry. We just don't know what the future holds. Oh, that's awkward. Kind of feel like I'm no longer casting Scurrilous Sentry then. It's just too good to guarantee we get that draw 3. If we cast Sentry, we're giving them another turn to maybe kill the Cartographer. Are there any 3-mana or less cards that I could draw into? Never mind. Since are there any 3-mana or less cards I could draw into that would make me not want to hold up Breathe Your Last? Because if not, then I think I just pass the turn holding up Cartographer. So that I have it as a blocker and still do the draw 3. If Breathe Your Last is the best thing to do with my 3 mana, but now I have a guaranteed Serum Visionary, which is going to be better. I guess I still get to pass the turn holding up Cartographer as a blocker, because I straight up drew the Visionary. The question was really, did we want to tap Cartographer for the draw 3 to try to hit something like Visionary instead of holding up Breathe Your Last? And now we don't even have to think about that, because Toon hit a good draw. Another landscape. Victimize isn't horrible with something like Serum Visionary, but we don't have anything great in Grave right now. Scurrilous Sentry can do some digging. These are not bad draws. They're not great, though. I think... This is Enter the Battlefield as well. It is Enter the Battlefield, and I'm going to draw 3 off Cartographer, so I'll keep Victimize. The draw 3 should find something like Sentry can discard to make sure Victimize is fueled. 2-1 still feels a little small, though. First Wombat. If they tutor out a good +1/+1 counter synergy card, that could go pretty wild. Double Hunger Tide Rises, double them up, have tons of stuff to sack for whatever creature they need, is scary. Alright, here we go. Whee! Ooh, Solar Transformer. Hold up. Just instantly draw another 3? I've got the Reform Victimize as well. Oh my god, if I instantly draw another 3, I'm gonna have to discard the hand size. I still think I set that up. So even if they tutor something that like kills Cartographer, we're just so far ahead in cards here. But I don't think I do it unless they try to kill Cartographer. Or at the very least, I don't do it until after my turn, so I don't have to discard the hand size, is the big thing. I'm trying to get greedy and keep all these cards, so I get to hold up a Breathe Your Last and then, you know, just crack the landscape for an energy in response to them trying to kill Cartographer. And I already kind of wanted to hold up Breathe Your Last for whatever they're trying to tutor out here, because it's probably something we need to kill. I guess the issue is if it's something I need to kill immediately instead of in their end step, then that does tap me out of the mana. Taps me out of cracking the landscape towards energy 6 if they try to kill Cartographer in this same turn. Oh, they're just gonna let it die. They just want the 1/1s. Okay, that makes me feel safer. I feel really good right now. Okay, if they're gonna hold 4 mana up, 5 mana up, and just pass the turn, I don't think I'm cracking Landscape. That gives them the golden opportunity to kill Cartographer in response. Okay, Familiar. We discard an Island. One green mana and one colorless. There's one instant they could have here that would kill Cartographer in response to me cracking Landscape. One in a green instant, one of your creatures deals damage to another. Actually, that wouldn't even work. None of their creatures have 3 power. Yeah, I don't think there's anything in the set they can use to kill a Cartographer in response. So I draw the cards now so that Cartographer's untapped next turn. It's probably not super relevant, so we could always play it safe and just play a land next turn and then do it, but it does block 1/1s very freely. Ooh, Lord, those are some cards. And there's a Drownyard Lurker, too. All right. So, our main concern right now is the flyers. The Terramander in particular, 5/5 flyer. Only way to deal with that is our Breathe Your Last currently. Could bring back an Emrakul's Messenger with a Victimize. But that's it for now. I can Scurrilous Sentry towards something. I don't think I need to kill anything immediately. I don't hate setting up Conscription Kami for future swings, future turns. Take 7 in the sky max, go to 12. 4 blockers on the ground. Yeah, I think I set up to start doing some draw 3 nonsense. I guess we could take like 8 damage in the sky if they Wither and Bloom the Familiar and they adapt Terramander. With how much has gone on this game, I'm surprised it's only like turn 6. So I've definitely played a land every turn. Alright, so Drownyard Lurker, we're almost definitely cycling for a draw 3 trick. Because I can cast Scurrilous Sentry, Connive, and then I can also cycle the Lurker to trigger both of these cards. We also need some more stuff in our grave to actually cast our Victimize. I don't want to do that with only 1 card. Oh, I forgot about Wombat. So this is 2 counters on the Familiar and 5 counters on Terramander whenever they get around to that. Oh, they're just going to go all in. Lion Umbra on it as well while I'm tapped out. That's kind of brutal. So if I just held up the instant, responding to Lion Umbra is so powerful, but the fact that it gives Umbra armor means this is really bad for me. Wow, yeah, that's devastating. Lion Umbra specifically, because it protects it. Yeah, so I need to connive into better interaction then. I mean, again, I can get the draw 3 and go back up to 13 here. 7 plus 6. That's still dead to Terramander. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 2 artifacts, and they could adapt to Terramander and kill me. Oh my god. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll have 8 mana. I could cycle both lurkers and still have Breathe Your Last up so I don't die to them adapting Terramander. That would trigger the draw 3s. Okay. Coffee Crook is a decent card here. That will give us a chump. Okay, so we are gonna take 7 here and we're gonna Breathe Your Last Terramander. But then we're gonna set up Copy Crook on a familiar to chump their familiar. Uh-oh. They're actually tutoring something? Oh god, what is this? What is this? Another flyer would be devastating. Okay, just a... Well, menace could be a slight problem. Not as bad as flying. Wait till they tap out for the adapt, which they absolutely should do because it's on board lethal. Okay. Still dead to 1 familiar hit, so if they can clear out our Copy Crook blocker, we're gonna die. Unless I hold the 5 up for the commie drain. Is there any way to draw 2 again? So I can victimize 2 tapped 7/7s, which is something. I could victimize a tapped flyer, which again is something. Can landscape crack it, that's 4 energy. Yeah, there's no way to draw 2 more cards right now, unless I Scurrilous Sentry into something. So, 6, 7, 8. I've got enough mana to cast Copy Crook and drain off of the commie. But I am tempted to try to like Scurrilous Sentry into more draw. But I guess if I Scurrilous Sentry and Copy Crook, like if I tap out for Scurrilous Sentry, I have to use the rest of the mana on Copy Crook anyway to not just like die. Okay. Get rid of their last card. It's a trick. And then make sure that we have the life drain mana up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. Yeah, I can send that in and clear some stuff out. Cool. Now they're playing off the top thanks to their Refurbish Familiar's ability. Adapt the Dream Drinker Vampire. Get the Menace, get the counters. "12 cards in deck. I kind of don't want to mill out, but I think Kami kills them before we mill out if they don't kill Kami. I'm trying to decide whether it's worth trading Royal Cartographer into this Dream Drinker Vampire. Generally, I'd say no, but we might be getting close enough to out of cards that it is. We're gonna have the 4th energy right now cracking this landscape. Then I play a land next turn. We have the 5th, so 2 turns from now I would have a draw 3. If I can survive that long. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna offer the Cartographer up to the Dream Drinker gods. And we're probably just gonna victimize back 2 things that can block flyers. I'll have my shields down for 1 turn, but I'll be at 11 life in that 1 turn because I drain with Kami now and drain with Kami again next turn. Alright, so we don't know what their draw was. They haven't cast it yet still. Oh, we hit another landscape, so we would have drawn the 3 right now. On the plus side, that's double colorless. For if we draw that, we get to just exile Familiar, and that's a huge, huge, huge deal. "10 mana. 3 for Victimize. We want 5 up for this. That's 2 mana to do whatever I want with. So all I get to do is Victimize and drain. 11 against 7, then I'm 13 against 7. I die in 2 hits anyway. Whether or not I drain them here, I die in 2 hits to Familiar. So I kind of think I need to find something better, like Sentry towards it. I guess I already actually have double colorless because I've got Transformer 2 on that front. That's not the one. It's not the Exiler. One, two, three, four. I have like 3 blockers up. I actually don't think I attack this turn. Five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I want as many blockers as they have attackers on the ground. Alright, they're playing off the top again. We've got 2 more chump blocks. And we can drain with Kami pretty much every turn from here, now that we're playing off the top. So we have like at least 3 turns to draw into our exile spell for this Familiar. And exile does get around to Umbra Armor. Our swamp-based removal spell would be pretty big here too. Because if we can just get this Umbra to fall off, then this is significantly smaller. It's a 4/3. Actually, it's even smaller than that, right? +3/+3. Okay, they're gonna throw down a blocker right now because we keep making them discard a card. So they're like, no, I'm not dealing with that. Okay. Nine cards is not a lot. It's not a lot to play around with. So 6 cards is even less, but starting to put the pressure on. They've got 4 ground troops. 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers because the spawn too. Boy. So there'll be 5 cards left because I'm going to use Sentry and Truths. Probably double block Sentry here too. Yeah, no, I think it's just our 1 zombie army. And a dream still. I actually get to start using Kami in our turn and their turn because we're at the 10 mana. Even without Unfathomable Truths, but Unfathomable Truths is I get to draw 3 and use Kami. Now or during their turn. I'm going to do it now so that I have more options during their turn. I think I probably shouldn't use Transformer. My only other way to use energy is already gone. Hey, Devourer of Destiny, my good friend. Perfectly castable while they only have 1 card in hand, and then they have no board against a ton of stuff. I mean, they have 3 1/1s, but they're playing off the top against a significantly bigger board here. We found the Devourer. Hopefully our opponent didn't think it was their destiny to win a box Modern Horizons 3, because if so, we devoured that destiny. Well, there's that Consuming Corruption we were looking for as another potential way to try to get around the flyer beating us. 3 1/1s. I think we can hold 2 creatures back with this to gain life and this to gain life. Okay, I don't like double conniving here. I kind of forgot that that is going to be mandatory. That's sketchy. I need to never attack with a conniver again. That is how we could lose the game. That is how we could lose the game. Luckily, the Shadow Spinner, that's a May ability. You don't have to draw the cards with that one. Right, a long, hard-fought battle, especially by some scary flyers, but we got there in the end, luckily, with some blue-black nonsense. We are 2-0. Game 3, we are 3 for 3 on Royal Cartographer starts. Our opponent starts white and starts with Indebted Spirit. That makes me want to get the black source towards our removal as quickly as possible, even if it means missing out on 1 energy for Cartographer. I want to make sure I can cast this Wither and Bloom as soon as I need to. Okay, and we hit another fetch land anyway for a double Cartographer. Could hold up a Wither and Bloom here, and then I can play Cartographer the same turn. I'm guaranteed to get energy off of it, and if we don't need to play Wither and Bloom, we'll get to tune the narrative out of the way and just take 1. Essence Reliquary. Alright, we don't need to play Wither and Bloom, and now we can't kill any of their creatures during their turn. It's actually very good against instant speed removal. I have this, I think, is my first time playing against Essence Reliquary, so I will try to keep in mind never cast removal during their turn. That is a quick way to lose the game. If we cast removal during their turn, it is just not going to work out. Alright, I need double black now, so let's drop Cartographer and get that black source. Just lock in the 4th energy. So we need to just be a tap-out deck now. Just spend all our mana during our turn. If we need to kill something, we need to do it at sorcery speed. Bridgeworks battle, that is sad, but not the biggest deal ever. That means they're not playing any more creatures this turn, and it's still just a 1/1 worth of pressure from our opponent. Drop a Scurrilous Sentry. I'm trying to get to 7, but Messenger plus Sentry can help get there even without lands, so I'm going to ditch a land first. I mean, these spells are just all so powerful. It's hard to justify otherwise, even with a 7-drop in hand. Alright, Wumpus Aberration, that is going to draw some removal from us. So we breathe its last while I can actually kill it. And then we drop an Emrakul's Messenger before the Sentry triggers. So that we get a spawn as well towards the Lurker. And this is not a blue landscape. This is not a blue landscape. I have to actually ditch the landscape. Because we do have a double blue spell in our deck. And if we don't draw exactly our double blue spell or exactly our double colorless spell, then the second blue is going to be just more valuable than the second colorless anyway. Okay, I'd love to Wither and Bloom the Voltstorm Angel. But that's only going to work during our turn. So they'd have to throw it in danger, which I doubt they'll do with Reliquary out. I mean, Voltstorm's not that scary. Well, yeah, it is. They can keep giving it Vigilance Lifelink. Never mind. I was about to say it's not that scary when it's almost their only creature, because the scariest thing that it can do is give the whole board +1/+1, but actually just a Vigilant Lifelink threat is real scary. Alright, well, don't even have to worry about it. That is super worth it. Yep, and drop a Kami. They're down to 2 cards in hand. Things are looking pretty good here. The Marauder's awkward. I assume we can get this Spirit gone. Okay, Johnny's a nightmare. Well, they're not playing red. Oh, never mind. Yeah, that's very, very bad for me. They get 2/2/1 cats every turn. I guess they only get 1 more every other turn, but that is still really bad. So the Planeswalker half is disgusting. If you have a red permanent, you keep getting a 2/1 and dealing 2 every turn. Okay, I lied. Johnny is horrible. They can put 2 cats under the bus to kill the Sentry unless I discard a non-land card here. Then I can get Sentry to 5 toughness, so they have to throw a Spirit in the way as well. And then if they throw a Spirit in the way as well, then they don't have that for a Cursed Marauder anymore. I guess if a cat dies, then a Johnny flips. But then we just attack a Johnny with a bunch of stuff. We can get a Johnny. Yeah, I think I need to put a counter on Sentry attack, put another counter on Sentry here. Maybe I'm supposed to discard a Cursed Marauder over Transformer, but I'm not sure. No blocks. Alright, so they don't want to flip a Johnny, they just want to keep making 2/1s. Fair. One mana off from Lurker. Maybe keep the land towards Sentry, I guess. Just do a Kami drain here. Airy Auxiliary, that's a big one with Reliquary. So what, they're going for counterattacks then with the cats? Sure, you got it. They do have the mana to re a Johnny here, which is frustrating. Just Reliquary a Johnny back, cast him again. Yes. So Johnny is putting in work.
Nothing can break our bond.
The thing is, this would have been even worse if I had traded Kami into a Cat Warrior, because then they get the Planeswalker, they make a 2/1, they pick it up, and then they play a Johnny front half. God, the Indebted Spirit anti-Marauder tech is just destroying me here. I can get one really big creature, but we're never breaking through all the cats. Anyway. I kind of think I hold the mana up so I can attack with Sentry and cycle Lurker, and then I still have 5 mana up, so I can do Kami for free this turn and then do it for 5 during their turn, get them to 6. I don't think we outrace them like that, though. It's not quite. Shadow Spinner's a big one. Yeah, now, as soon as I discard Marauder, there's the Indebted Spirit to say hello.
Traitors will be punished.
Just a counter on all the cats and then picking it up and making another cat is bad. Either way they do it, that's really bad. 2 2/1s and a 1/2. Or 2 +1/+1 counters and then a 1/2 and a 2/1. For the free drain here, set up an army. I feel like I'm never breaking through this. This is just ridiculous. Like, Reliquary is pretty cute. It's got a lot of decent combos and stuff, but Reliquary with the Mythic Ajani is oppressive. So getting the Shadow Spinner out, getting the free drain there means they are on a 4-turn clock if we can survive 4 turns. And we can make it even faster. If we can get a Shadow Spinner attack, that's going to be 3 draws. That means a free Kami trigger during our turn. Then we could dump all our mana into it on their turn. If we can get them down to 2 during our turn, they're just going to be dead. But, again, way easier said than done. They have just an infinite supply of cats. And we're taking a significant amount of flying damage here. Bare minimum. Probably got to take quite a bit of cat damage here too, because they definitely can't trade the Kami off, and the Shadow Spinner giving the Kami a free trigger in the future is also massive. Like, I have to let the cats in, but I can't let them all in or I'm dead. I guess I go to 1. I'm barely alive. If they do send in the whole board, I might be able to crack back lethal. They have 3 blockers. Oh wait, no they don't. They have 2 blockers because they've already used a Johnny. They can't make a Johnny, make a 2/1, and then pick it up and make 2 more creatures. Okay, they're full defensive. Fair. Please don't kill Kami of Jealous Thirst. Okay, they're not killing Kami. Well, I mean, we still don't know. They're probably not killing Kami. If they do find a way to kill Kami of Jealous Thirst, I think our odds are just shot down to 0 at that point. Oh, I guess they're just going for the Ajani ult. Oh my god, another rare. This one's actually kind of good for us. Because these Eldrazi spawn. I actually don't mind that. Oh, well, no, yeah, they still have 5 blockers for our 5 creatures, so I guess not really. Although one has Menace. Something gets through. Oh boy. Okay, so I drain them for 2 with Kami, guaranteed for free if I attack with Shadow Spinner. That also means with Kudo on board, Mindless Conscription is going to be massive. If a Johnny ults, then we're dead. Right, we choose one creature, sack the rest, and then they kill us. So we have to attack a Johnny with not literally everybody, but basically everybody. But then I just die when they let a Johnny die. I mean, I gain 2, I'm at 12. I'm going to gain 2 from Kami. I'm going to be at 14. They have 16 damage on board. So if they let a Johnny die, I can play 2 blockers afterward and then be fine. That's the plan. This is a rough spot. This is 2 blockers off 1 spell. Ooh, Breathe Your Last is nice. That's super tricksy here too. Alright, so they're gonna kill our best creatures basically for free here. Wow, yeah, no, they actually have really good blocks here. Yeah, this is sort of nightmare scenario. We don't even get to kill a Johnny. We have to Breathe Your Last to Johnny. If I kill Kudo, does anything go in our favor? Not really. I could kill both of these if I kill Kudo, but that's it. They're at 6 now. We're at 14. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Shoot. 15, 16. I guess. Here's a 5/5 to block with. 3 drains from killing them. They're playing off the top. And they have nothing to Essence Reliquary anymore since we killed a Johnny and the Flyer. So no more Essence Reliquary nonsense. And all they can really hit for is 3 in the sky a turn. It looks like anyone's game right now. Straight up. You could coin flip this one, looking at this board. Oh, that was a really smart line. I think I take the trade. We hope to get some synergy for conscription. Spymaster's Vault could work later. Tapping out of Kami kind of sucks. If I use Kami, they're at 4. I'm at 18, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I go to 10. They're at 2, I'm at 12. I take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I win.
If they draw literally nothing, just using Kami twice will win here. I guess worst case scenario, this is also setting up to make it more likely that I can double card draw when I play Serum Visionary. I guess that's not really worst case scenario, that's just like an alternate reason to be okay with this. Oh, just untap it for a blocker? Yeah, makes sense. Nesting grounds shenanigans. Here's the drain. If I top deck my double colorless card, it's uncastable anyway, and top decking a swamp here is horrific. So I think I make it slightly less likely to draw a swamp, and there's only 11 cards left. Pulling another swamp out of there does feel like something. Ooh. Oh my god, that's big. It's not quite lethal. Because if I top deck a land, I'm at 4 out of 5 mana for using Kami again. But I can play 2 blockers and use Kami in the same turn, which is massive. I'm going to do that. Actually, Dream Drinker's an even better blocker. Alright, so if they don't kill Kami, they're dead. And now even if they do, I have a really solid... Well, I did crack my colorless card. Oops. I still have really solid cards. Corruption and Visionary here being very good. And they don't find a way to kill the Kami. Wow. Alright, that was the scariest I've ever seen Essence Reliquary ever be. But again, most of that was just because of Johnny's just already terrifying. So a Johnny Reliquary is the grossest thing I've ever seen a Reliquary player do. I've seen Reliquary Auxiliary Angel stuff. This is a really well-built deck. They've got a lot of good synergies for it, but having the Ajani Mythic to go with it too is super, super gross. And they played really smart too. They did some Kudo shenanigans, some Nesting Ground shenanigans, try to pull out as much damage as they possibly could there, but sticking it out there, just grinding it out and praying for Kami Life Drain actually worked out for us, and it barely got them in the end. We are now 3-0. Here we are for game 4. I don't like this hand, but I don't know if it's quite worth a keep. So we can't cast Breathe Your Last till we hit another black source, and Victimize is not... It's just really bad till super late in the game. So it's almost like a 6-card hand, double blue-black. No Breathe Your Last, but I like our Marauder into Sentry. Like, these are solid cards in the right position. We'll see. We do immediately hit the black source. I think I would have kept this pretty much a snap keep if it was 2 swamps, 1 island, so makes me feel decent here. Alright, and there's a fine Marauder target. Just to slow the game down. Keep our mono red Eldrazi opponent from doing anything massively scary, massively quickly. How much do I want to just slow things down? Do I want to hit this Flesh Raker? Because any more Eldrazi from them come with Eldrazi spawn, which ramp into more Eldrazi even quicker, and this does a bunch of damage. This might be wrong, but I'm going to be mana efficient here. Keep the tempo of the game flowing and just grind our opponent to a halt here. And then drop Sentry. Hope that that digs for more removal by the time we need it. There's the forest from our opponents. And that's all for now. So here comes Scurrilous Sentry. We've got the Victimize Lurker combo now. So Victimize is now pretty active. Kitchen Island. They're gonna cycle a Warped Tusker, get an Eldrazi spawn towards some other stuff. Fanged Flames the Sentry. Pretty sad about that. Always feel real confident with a Sentry triggering each turn. Setting up your draws, getting a little chip damage in is always real good. Mindless Conscription's not bad at all. Could cycle the Lurker and play Mindless Conscription off of sacking the spawn, but the only reason I want the spawn is to sack it to victimize. I think I just drop Conscription and pass, and next turn I have the mana to double up these. Because I don't want to victimize yet anyway, not till they play a good creature, so we're set up to where like they cast a big Balm Eldrazi, then I cycle, victimize, kill their Eldrazi, and have a 7/7 out. Alright, we're still just hanging out. Means I'm still not victimizing. Because the Cursed Marauder we get off the Victimize is just not going to do anything. So we'll just hit for 3, and maybe we'll hard cast a Drownyard Lurker next turn. Still gives me the spawn towards Victimize. It is actually kind of rough that they exiled the Sentry. If that were in our graveyard for another Victimize option, that would be very good. Because then I could just go for it now. I'd have the Sentry and a Lurker on board instead of having to go for the Accursed Marauder for no value. Evolution Witness. Alright, that's going to be good value for our opponent. Pick up their big Warped Tuskery thing. Alright, so if I cycle Lurker and Victimize here, I can Accursed Marauder a 4/3 Evolution Witness, but they still have the mana to just do the Adapt thing anyway. So they're going to get a card back out of it either way. Rather see if they want to take the trade while they bring the thing back, and then we'll just kill what they bring back, kill the 6/8 itself later. Yep, 6/8 is what they're bringing back. We trade into the 4/3. Nightmare scenario would be them also having a great combat trick here. If they have the one that puts a +1/+1 counter, oh god, yeah, that's really bad. We are now massively behind. They have a 5/4 on board, a 7/8 in hand, and a probably a little buffer in hand or something. Or Pass is just really, really good with Evolution Witness. Alright, they're taking the Pinger. Alright, let's drop a 7/7 and hope to find some spells quickly. So I do need another creature in my grave to even cast this Victimize, since I didn't cycle the Drownyard Lurker. I'm gonna crack one of these for black, but actually, let's stop at my upkeep. Do I have any 5-mana spells in the deck? I do have an Unfathomable Truths. I guess I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another Evolution Witness. This game is just not going to go in our favor if they've got multiple pieces of graveyard recursion. We're trying to outgrind people. This is grindy as all get up. Alright, I don't think I crack a landscape here. And even if I did, I couldn't pull this landscape out of my deck. If we flood out drawing all landscapes, even if I crack every landscape, I can hit more landscapes. I can just get the basics out of here. Alright, well now I can get 2 swamps and play this and pass, I guess. Now they're going to have Flesh Raker plus the thing that buffs all the Eldrazi spawn. Which is very, very bad. We need to just start going runner and just hit good spells over and over from here. To get back in here, we've just hit dead way too many turns in a row when our opponent's doing incredible value stuff. I guess I could have attacked in there. I didn't quite do the math, but I thought it would be a 1-for-1 trade into one of the witnesses. I should have sent the lurker in. It would have been a 2-for-1. They lose both witnesses to kill it, or a witness and a Flesh Raker. Yeah, that was like the last opportunity to get damage in with it as well. Yeah, that was just a numbers game issue. Because the first one was a 5-4, I think I was just instinctually thinking they were both going to be 5-4s, and I was like, they double block a 7-7 with 2 5-4s, and I'm trading down, and I don't want to do that. But I forgot that the witness only adapts 2 counters on itself. The third was from their trick. We would actually be threatening the 2-for-1. That was sloppy. Definitely should have gotten that lurker attack in while I still could. This is pretty late. If we would have had this in our hand in response to the first witness, I think we'd just be handily winning right now. Right? Because our 3-3 for witness trade was already fine, so we just let it happen, and then they try to do that, and we go, boom, breathe your last. Then none of this is happening. Alright, rough. Still use it to blow up a double block if they do that for some reason, but they're probably just going to bounce the 6-8 off the 7-7. Or I can get some free damage. I'll take free damage. That works for me. Feel like I have enough mana to just hold on to this island. Because we have Connive and all that kind of stuff in our deck. We can use these as a resource to draw other cards, potentially. So they get my victimized, just guaranteed, right? Because I can't let them have my Breathe Your Last, but also if I Breathe Your Last, the Thought-Knot Seer, when it hits the board, I draw the card, sure, but they still exile the Victimize forever. I kind of think I have to Breathe Your Last, the It that heralds the end, to make the Tusker just a 6-8, as well as reduce everybody else here, instead of just killing the Tusker. Yeah, this sucks. Thought-Knot Seer coming in real hot from the special guests. Well, it's going to be real close to lethal. Actually, I think that is lethal. I chump the 7 and take, like, what, 13? Alright, well, this game was pretty gross. Our opponent was on a pretty slow start, so I don't even think that, like, they drew insanely well or anything. It did take them a while to get to this insane board state from the double witness and all that other nonsense. I think we really just hit a flooded out Dirtle fest for the most part. Yeah, I mean, all these landscapes too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 spells. Never got to do Victimize. Victimize was real bad in this hand. Like I said when we kept it, but I thought it was going to work out. I guess even if they didn't thought not Seer away, it would have been bad here. So we kind of only got 5 cards to play around with. Because the Victimize just worked so bad for us too. Yep, and then obviously the double Evolution Witness, one of which triggered twice, means they had just more spells by a lot. And that is what wins games of Magic. That's why I like blue-black, is that we're drawing a lot of cards, which means generally we're casting more spells, but definitely not in that game. So we are 3-1, heading into game number 5 with only 1 loss to give. All right, here we are on the play. 2 black sources towards Breathe Your Last. I think this is a keep here. Kami's the only proactive play, but a very, very solid card for us today. Sylvan's Safekeepers. They can sack a land to save one of their creatures from one of my removal spells. It's a Royal Cartographer now. I think I just get mana efficient and tap out for it now. The biggest reason to play it the same turn that you're triggering its landfall ability is when you're playing a deck that has other ways to use the energy, so you can like guarantee the energy out of it. But if Cartographer dies before we have 6 energy, that's the only way that we have in our entire deck to use the energy anyway. So we'd rather just get mana efficient and get it on the board so I can do things like Kami this turn if I want. Which I think is the play. Although second black might be valuable enough to ditch landscape and cast Tune the Narrative instead. I'm just going to go for the Kami. Finding another blue source gets us to tune and cycle the Lurker to Kami for free, which is fun. I don't know if it's that good. If we draw other reasons to want to discard the Lurker, like if we draw Victimize, then that'll be a pretty good turn. Tune plus Lurker. Although we would have to crack another landscape before we do that. That would cost double blue. Tapped Legion Stronghold. Send in the Brood Scale, which only takes 2 to adapt, so it would be a trade if I block with the Kami, which I don't want to do. Reform? That actually looks perfectly fine on this board. And I still don't need Breathe Your Last up yet. I guess this is the turn that we can guarantee a Cartographer draw 3, though. Because we can crack both landscapes and cast Tune, tap Cartographer, draw 3. Yeah, we're probably always just supposed to draw the 3 the second we guarantee that we can do that. Yeah, let's do it.
Shadow Spinner Kami's been very good. I guess I probably still should have held Cartographer up as a blocker. I'm not blocking with Kami though, so might as well get 1 damage in with that. I guess I would block Safekeeper, but I'll trade 1 damage for 1 damage here. Definitely not blocking Brood Scale. Okay, now I've definitely got reasons to cycle this Lurker. We've got a 7-drop that also wants double colorless in the hand. Conscription could be big. Conscription Shadow Spinner combo is here. We've got Marauder to go with Reefworm. We've got a lot of juice in here. Just a bunch of little 2-card combos. Different ways we can do it. Okay, they're going to get rid of the Kami. Just deal with that immediately. And then drop a Golden Tail Trainer with one other modified creature. So when it attacks, it gives the Brood Scale +1/+1. Sure. Okay, I really need to hit lands. So... do I have to just cycle a Drownyard Lurker? Could copy crook something, but none of this gives me mana. Curse Marauder's pretty bad right now. That's just going to be Reform fodder. Yeah, I'm either cycling a Lurker or just casting a Shadow Spinner. The mana's really tight here. I guess Shadow Spinner's a pretty solid blocker here, and it sets up to really dig next turn. Digs 2 cards in for more lands. Oh, Jesus. Area Auxiliary, one of the best commons in the set. It's not quite a Writhing Chrysalis, but it is fantastic. And it's pretty crushing here. Please don't have a 2-mana spell as well. Just 1 Auxiliary, that's it. Please. I am begging you. They keep looking at their hand, though. It does not look like they don't have another spell, but we'll see. Just let me gain the 2. Mitigate a little bit of this damage. I'm begging. Okay, I got to stop a tiny bit of the damage. I can play Conscription and Marauder. Marauder's just going to kill a Safekeeper, but it's still killing something. I guess I don't actually make a 6/6 off Conscription unless I chump attack with Shadow Spinner here into the Auxiliary. Would be real bad to chump attack into the Auxiliary. We might want to play Marauder and just hold up Breathe Your Last, because we get the Safekeeper gets killed here, and then we can Breathe Your Last a creature. Because I can't do it without killing Safekeeper. Down to 2 cards in hand, they probably don't need to land that badly. Sack 1. To not sack 1 if we try to kill their best creature in the future. Yeah, I think I'm on full defense here, which is super awkward because it means playing Marauder before the Reefworm. But I mean, we just didn't hit the lands on time. If we had the mana on curve here, we would be at 6 mana right now, and this would be the definite like Reefworm Marauder turn. Have a 3/3 blocker and get rid of the Safekeeper would be super cute.
I'm sorry, a 3/3 and a 2/1 blocker, and get rid of the Safekeeper. Oh, they get rid of the Flyer. That's wild. Okay, then I think I Conscription and attack with Shadow Spinner and have a 6/6 blocker up then on the ground if they're going for ground troops. Because now they don't have blocks for Shadow Spinner. And creatures on the ground is what matters. Oh. 1 mana Dog Umbra. Well, that explains that. That's disgusting. There goes the life gain. There goes the draw 3. That is fantastic efficiency from the Golden Tail Trainer for them. And then Nyxborn Unicorn to just buff the trainer so I can't kill it on this block either. I mean, this just looks like game. We just missed a really pivotal land drop, and that's all it takes. Drew several extra cards towards it too. 4 extra cards. Hate life. Might not be completely over. Wow, is it close? No, I mean Safekeeper just makes it over. Because they have no spells in hand now, we can't kill anything at all. We just can't target anything, period. Still got a Reform for a solid blocker. That's something. But it's just chumps. That 1 mana Dog Umbra too. No creature on board, then it matters if we copy with Copy Crook. I'm literally on just a single Reform pass. Which is super bad. They don't have the mana for that yet, but they can Convoke it. No non-creature spells have Convoke. Okay, cool. At least they missed on Party Thrasher. Yep, modifying everything so trainer buffs it. I have to chump now. We just make 2 blockers during their turn at this point. It's like now we're on triple chump. Wow, and then find the wing it. It's annoying. I'm tilted for sure. Because I can tap out for Breathe Your Last and then die. Because I tapped out for Breathe Your Last, or I can get 2 blockers on the ground and then die. Because they have a flying like 8 power creature or something, because Golden Tail, because that's modified. That was brutal. Alright. I mean, we just couldn't find lands, really. We had, like, an amount, but we needed a lot for how many cards that we'd drawn that game. We drew, like, 4 extra cards, but got stuck around the 4 mana mark after all those extra cards, and we needed to get to these high mana value plays to prevent this nonsense. Safekeeper was absolutely the MVP, the nail in the coffin. If I could actually have killed these cards instead of getting rid of 2 lands for, like, all my mana, then we could have prevented some of this, but they just had Safekeeper by the time we could hold up our removal. Even like getting to Devourer of Destiny mana wouldn't save us at this point. We just cast it and they just Safekeeper. Because they're playing off the top, they don't need all the lands. Alright, well, absolutely brutal. Worst feeling in the universe is having an undefeated run and then immediately getting both your wins in a row. But that's Magic, baby. I don't think there was anything we could really do. Those were just some of our most awkward draws of the event, and certainly some of the scariest draws we played against in that final loss. I think that was the scariest draw we saw from anybody. That Sylvan Safekeeper modified aggro nonsense was just firing on all cylinders, and there was nothing we could do about it. So, yeah. I liked this deck a lot. Worked really, really well. Generally speaking, I think the only times it didn't work well were flaws that every single deck in the history of Magic has, which is getting mana screwed a little, getting mana flooded a little, just hitting the lands a little too late or a little too often were our 2 losses. And that's all it takes to knock you out of these 2-loss win-a-box events. So I think this deck had potential, and it really showed it off in the first games, but it ran out of steam, we ran out of luck, and we are out of the event at 3-2, throwing 5,000 gems straight into the dumpster. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.